Hello. Greetings to all ITC 2020 members and participants. I thank you for being here, and especially I would like to thank my brother Barend for the invitation and all the support in guiding this reflection. It seems that it was up to me to think and reflect and answer the question of what nature is in the Theosophical perspective. This question made me reflect beyond the common concept we have of nature. I realized that this idea permeates all the great and small mysteries presented in Helena Blavatsky's masterpiece, The Secret Doctrine. I will present an overview of the question of what nature is, from its inception, before the appearance of the cosmos, to its awakening and cyclical evolution. All that lives, and man is part of this invisible nature, which is life. The word nature has its origin in Latin, natura, future of the verb nasci, from nascere. Initially, nature means everything that appears, that is born. Nature is not only the seed, the phenomenon, but also and especially the network of consciousness that functions behind or through it, and from where the world of phenomena is born. The egg germ of the world. This network can be called Mula Prakriti, Alaya, and Akasha. Now I will tell you how the history of nature begins, using one of the symbolic systems of the ancient structures of humanity. In the poetry of the universe, the whole story begins with the instructors of the world narrating the great and small mysteries which cyclically awaken the universe and its cosmic space. There are 7 stanzas and several verses telling from the night of the universe, its differentiations, the awakening of the cosmos, the septenary hierarchies, and Fohat his son, our world and its growth and the progenitors of man on our planet Earth. History also speaks of a one element of which everything consists. The egg germ of the world. This beginning happens beyond the horizon of our consciousness. It's the arupa world, or formless world, or what we call the first unmanifested logos. Then emanates the rupa world, with form, which is nature with its distinct differentiations, and with it the pilgrimage of humanity and its different planes of evolution. Everything was in a dreamless sleep for 7 eternities. But when the time comes, an absolute point radiates, which awakens and activates the great primordial substance, our Mula Prakriti. This is the first unmanifested logos that emanates the second logos. 7 primordial consciousnesses emanate from this absolute point, the Ahi or Dian Choans, all of them self-generated, without father and without number, who individualize themselves within the bosom of the Mother, the second Logos. The Ahi are legions of spiritual beings that constitute the vehicle for the manifestation of the universal divine thought and will. They are the intelligent forces that execute the laws of nature and, as guardians of the one law, fulfill the ideation of divine thought. Here, nature is invisible and visible in producing power. For ages and ages of differentiation, different hierarchies are emanated from the primary 7, and each one has a function and aid in the construction and evolution of the metaphysical and physical plans of matter, nature, in the so-called egg of the world. The substantial one principle differentiates, composing and permeating all spiritual, mental, astral, and physical nature. Mother Nature is enveloped and activated by the one element, where spirit and matter are fundamentally one, outside of which there could be no nature, since a substantial one element is nature itself. It is written, proven, and has been told by word of mouth by all the great Adepts and Seers instructors throughout ages and ages to all mankind, thus developing different sets of religious ideas and moral ethical values, but all based on the same origin, the one reality. They taught us that nature is the sum total of all that is visible and invisible, of all forms and minds, of all the aggregates of known and unknown causes and effects of other universes, of ours and of future universes. Each birth of a cosmos gives rise to that gigantic web of life that we call nature. The magnificent egg of the world with its 7 planes of manifestation. The Rupa world with form. The manifestation of that cosmos begins, nature begins to generate its distinct and intelligent living forms. There is no dead matter. Everything vibrates in eternal movement. There is no nature without matter and permanent movement. But we know that the veil of illusion covers up the truth that everything, deep down, is one. That is, everything comes from the same root of nature. Mula Prakriti. Everything comes from the same source. But as humanity, we do not remember that everything is one. Thus, the harmony in our world tends to disappear in the separateness of our actions. We also know that a world, a solar system, a planet, or a man are just states corresponding to a certain time and space, and their transitory appearance is just a condition proper to that state of evolution to which they arrived in that downward cycle. And our physical world is just one of those states, one of those worlds. According to Theosophy, there are 7 of these worlds or plans of manifestation. However, there are many other phases and worlds in unlimited space. Therefore, there is a hidden and invisible nature, and everything is one, because it comes from the same source, absoluteness, about which we can talk or speculate nothing. It simply is Sat, the absoluteness, the boundless. In the boundlessness, universes come and go constantly. Each universe comes from a first point, from a source. The source is the divine ideation, which contains everything as infinite possibilities of emanations. Spirit and matter are one. Therefore, eternal and indestructible. Ideation always precedes the formation of the cosmos. And so, from the first logos emanate the 7 primordial ones, the Dhyani Buddhas, called Anapadudakas, parentless and without numbers. These 7 are called collectively Mahat, the cosmic ideation, also called Mahabuddhi. The collective cosmic idea, or Mahat, manifests itself as the primal 7, the first 7 breaths of the dragon of wisdom. These in turn produce the whirlwind of fire, Fohat, the messenger of his will. He is the potential, creative force, the electric vital force. In the terrestrial plane, it is electricity. In the broadest sense, it is the principle which manifests itself in all electrical and magnetic phenomena. And it is by the action of Mahat, represented by its innumerable centers of spiritual energy in the cosmos, that the reflection of the universal mind, the cosmic idea, and the intellectual force that accompanies this idea transforms itself objectively into Fohat. Fohat, through the 7 principles of the Akasha, acts on the manifested substance or the one element, and by the differentiation in several centers of energy, it puts into motion the law of cosmic evolution, which, in obedience to the ideation of the universal mind, brings into existence all the several states of being in the manifested solar system. At this point, we pass from the world of Arupa, the formless, superphysical world, to the world of forms, the physical world, which is the reflection of the unique reality in space and time. This reflection makes us realize that much is happening for us in areas without form, Arupa, even before there is something tangible for us, although still imperceptible to the human senses that are focused only on the physical world of Earth. Blavatsky says that there is only one law, the law of harmony, which always acts on the distinct conflicts of forces, which are nothing more than the search for harmony between the different elements and the composition of forms, both in the visible and invisible nature, due to their various levels of matter and their 7 equally distinct planes of manifestation. This apparent conflict is nothing more than the necessary cooperation between the cosmic elements in search of an equilibrium to generate more harmonious forms in the construction of the cosmos. This process is a great web of cooperation, since a well-balanced plan with its different elements will serve as a model reflection for the terrestrial planes and consequently for the microcosm that we are, human beings. The great law of harmony is always accompanied by the law of karma that helps in the adjustment of all causes and effects, or actions in the cosmos and in man. We could say that for each cosmic principle there is a correspondent in the human being. As the ancient Hermetic axiom teaches us, as above, so below, as it is in the macrocosmos, so it is in the microcosmos. There is a single law working in the economy of the universe. Nature offers us this harmonic model. It is up to us, men and women, to follow with humility and righteousness this path that always leads to the learning of balance, even if sometimes the conflicts are difficult, but in the end, everything is adjusted and harmonized. Nothing in nature comes suddenly into existence. Everything is subject to the same law of gradual evolution. Once we have understood the process of the Maha cycle of a sphere, we will understand all of them. For example, a man is born as any other, a race appears, develops, and declines as any other. Nature follows the same course, from the emanation of a universe to that of a mosquito. Nature is a producer. We were talking about the source that contains everything and from which everything originates. Everything that comes from the source is mula prakriti, the root of nature, or matter, prakriti. Prakriti, it cannot be compared to matter as we know it. From mula prakriti emanate all material qualities, from the extremely spiritual substance to the physical substance we believe we know. The highest, most spiritual form of this materiality is called Pradhana, spiritual matter. The word itself means first position. Pradhana is Mula Prakriti in the lower band of the ladder. It is the first appearance of root matter placed before or around Brahman, the divinity of a universe. It is spoken of as Brahman's cosmic veil, the unmanifest or first logos. In its lower levels of Pradhana becomes Akasha, what the Greek philosophy called ether. In some Indian philosophical schools, Pradhana is synonymous with Prakriti. In the Vedanta system, there is a difference. Pradhana is applied to the material cause of the universe and Prakriti to nature. In this way, nature understood as Prakriti is the root of everything. It is not created, it is not production, but is the producer. Because Prakriti is one with Purusha, the two primary aspects of the unknown divinity. Purusha is the energetic side, while Prakriti is the most receptive side of life. Purusha and Prakriti are the two poles of the same homogeneous, intelligent, living and cosmic substance, the fundamental principle of the universe. The two sides, male and female, are guided by Fohat, Eros, the self-generated, to conduct the strength, vitality, and cosmic electricity necessary to generate life, that is, the electricity that activates and vivifies everything in the construction and evolution of that Manvantara. The masters of wisdom teach that the main and only attribute of the spiritual principle, the giver of life, is to expand and pour out, and that of the material principle, nature prakriti, is to collect and fertilize. So there is one life, one principle of substance, as Blavatsky calls it, which permeates the whole universe, which is the one element. It has been differentiating itself and composing its various planes, and on the cosmic plane it is the Akasha that permeates our entire solar system, and each atom is part of it. The one element not only permeates everything in space, but in fact it is space, which vibrates as in a deep sleep during the pralayas, and it is also the universal Proteus, that divinity capable of assuming any external form. In mythology, Proteus is a god who transforms his self into various forms. It is nature, always active during the Manvantaras. It is the germ, the seed of the egg of the world, always in activation. It is Fohat putting into motion the primordial germ of the world, or what we call the aggregates of cosmic atoms and matter, some in one direction, others in another. These directions, also called centrifugal and centripetal forces, are, in symbolism, the hands of Fohat turning in opposite directions the seed and the clots or cosmic matter, as Blavatsky states. Fohat turns the particles of extreme tenuity and the nebula, seeking to harmonize the conflicts of forces for the possible construction of ever more harmonious and intelligent forms for the cosmos. Therefore, nature in manifestation presents itself as spirit and matter, Purusha and Prakriti, male and female, but in fact they are just one. They are simply a differentiation of states, not of the essence. The work of the one element is to be the inevitable presence in each atom and its incessant and unlimited multiplications of new activity centers without affecting its own original substantial amount until the end of the Mahamavantara, the great solar cycle. So the one element has a quantity of original substance that does not change during the entire Maha Manvantara. From this point of view, nature works as the one element, manifesting itself as living blocks, living atoms, to build its forms in all kingdoms and solar systems. There is no difference between the one element and nature. Matri Padma, which is the nature's matrix. The symbolism of nature's matrix, Matri Padma, helps us to understand how a cosmos is born. Matri Padma, the mother lotus, can be seen as the egg of the world or the womb of the universe that will be. The term Padma, the lotus, carries the symbolism of the double creative power in nature. Where the Hindu metaphor explains the age in which Brahma emerged from the lotus and began the three original emanations of Prakriti. So, if we all come from an Immaculate Mother, we are also capable of noble causes and effects in accordance with the divine nature. It is up to man to observe the natural and harmonious flow of nature and to follow its cycle in a manner that is in harmony with his fellow men. If we organize such a society, no one will be worth more than another, because we need each other. We follow the example of nature, which needs all its elements in permanent conflict of forces to generate instead of suffering its cyclical harmonic form, which always adjusts to the natural needs of evolution. If man lives in this way, he will realize that by giving a hand to his brother in need, he will also take an extra step in the evolutionary link that unites us. And once a human being has mastered and understood his features and senses, that means he knows his role as a human in Mother Nature. He will have the possibility of emancipation in the evolutionary hierarchy. In this way, we discover that the key to harmony with nature lies within man, who needs to understand himself evolving into a phenomenal human existence, with its various aspects and differentiations, from the most elementary unconsciousness through full emotional, intellectual, and spiritual consciousness. And thus we progressively evolve towards a spiritual harmony, which is the perception of oneself, integrated to totality, which awakens in us a perfect compassion, because one perceives the unity of all things. To feel integrated into the whole is the way to perceive that we exist in the bosom of the Mother Nature, and we are integrated into her laws in the scheme of the universe. It also offers us the opportunity to experience a feeling of full satisfaction and happiness, which our Indian brothers call Ananda. We also have developed the power to help those of our brothers who are still stuck in the matter, who think that the illusion is the truth, stuck in the cave, as Plato says. To live compassion is to seek emancipation, to get out of the cave, for the greatest happiness lies in being able to be a blessing to our fellow men. To conclude, we want to say that the main objective of this little reflection on nature from the theosophical point of view was to show that nature has its visible and invisible aspect, and that in the universe space there is only one cause, the one reality, and that we are not separate from it. And that cause and effect are seeds of matter and spirit from other previous worlds, and also from this one, in perfect law of retribution and harmony. Moreover, we wish to show that there is no dead matter. Nature is always in motion. Everything is alive. everything is nature and manifestation. And that in order to understand the concept of nature, we must seek the source, the real living entity, the primordial substance, the number of ephemeral matter within ourselves. Only in this way will we understand that spirit and matter are not separated, but one, and that we are not separate from universal unity. The one life is intimately related with the one law, which governs nature, and karma, which is the infallible law of retribution and harmony. In this way, nature and man, in his process of evolution, can perceive that the mental principle is just a mediator between spirit and matter. We must focus our mind and identify ourselves with the spiritual aspect within us, and that the balance and harmony between the spiritual impulse and the material pole be received as a gift in the stage of growth and evolution of the human mind. Thank you.